Thank you so much for joining early, everyone. We will get started at the top of the hour. All right, good afternoon or good morning from wherever you are this morning. Darby, are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining this morning, everyone. We are so excited to welcome you all back. For those of you that are new to this series, this is All Things Teams in Government. We started this series in 2019, and we're really excited to announce to you today some of the changes that we've made to this series moving forward to help give you all more opportunities to engage with the Microsoft Customer Success Unit. So first off, we'll do some introductions. Darby, I'll let you go first, and we'll switch over to your video in a second so everyone can see you too.
All right, thanks, Bridget. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. My name is Darby O'Brien. I am a Customer Success Manager on the East Coast for state and local government.
And my name is Bridget Ballard. I'm a Customer Success Manager on the West Coast, home office in Bellevue, Washington. So, agenda for today, we'll do a welcome back, a little history of this series. Then Darby will walk us through the changes that we're making this year, again, to give you all more opportunities to engage with us. We'll spend the second half of the session going over new Teams features that landed over the summer, since we know we took a little break from this series from over the summer. Lastly, we'll close it out with some reminders and things to keep an eye out for. So for those of you that are new, or for those of you that have been on before, this series started in 2019 as a way to help onboard our government customers to Teams. Now, we spent the summer thinking of ways that we want to revamp the series, and I'm so excited to turn it over to Darby so that she can walk through the changes that we are making this year.
Awesome. Thanks, Bridget. So we have decided to expand this series into 2 calls a month. We are creatively referring to them as call number 1 and call number 2 right now. So in call number 1, it is going to be a Teams live event meeting to discuss our topic for the month, demo a tool, discuss relevant use cases, give you all some great resources, essentially the exact same thing that we have been doing the past couple of years. This call mostly remains unchanged. So again, these calls occur on the second Friday of every month. We always record them. We always post them for you to watch back or send out to others. And we always give you our slides and content afterward. That is going to remain fairly unchanged. We're going to keep this format here. And then we're also adding an additional call, which we're calling call number 2. And that is going to be 2 weeks after the live event call. So that's 2 weeks after our call today. And this meeting is going to be more of an office hours. So this is going to be in a regular Teams meeting. It is not going to be recorded, and it is truly a working session for you all. So depending on what we discussed in the live event call, You can join and ask whatever questions you may have, ask help for deployment or building the solution that we discussed or talked about, and we can just use it as your time as in office hours. So if you want to implement a tool we demoed, or you want to run a use case by us, maybe you have an idea for your agency or for your department and you just want to get some advice from the Microsoft team, or if you're just wondering who your account team is, who your CSM is, join. Of course, we will align you to them, but we have lined up some experts to join this call with us, some specialists to help give you some undivided attention on the topic that we covered 2 weeks prior. Anything to add there, Bridget?
Yeah, only thing I would add, and I should have said it at the beginning, but we ensure that all of this is relevant to specifically GCC. So when we're talking about new features, when we're talking about these, any sort of, new process you want to implement in this second call that we're having here, we'll always make sure, A, that the specialists and the team come from a GCC background or at least are familiar with the service, and 2, really just ensuring that we're not specifically talking about things outside of that realm.
Awesome. And just to add, I don't think I mentioned it, that office hours call will be 1 hour. So we'll have a little bit more time than we do here in our demo calls to really get to your questions and really dig deep on what's going on or what you're trying to accomplish. And then, of course, this is new to Bridget and us too. So if you have any feedback or you want to see something done differently, please feel free to reach out to us. We want this series to help you all. So this is new for us too, so we're just trying it out.
Awesome. I will kick it over to our second part of the call here. Oops, let me send our content live. Perfect. So a lot of amazing features have landed in GCC over summer break. We'll spend the second part of the series going over these. Like Darby mentioned, typically these series are focused around use cases and new things that you can implement inside of Teams. Just as our kickoff call, we wanted to just kind of reconnect and cover some of these things that did launch, but just moving forward, know that most of our series will focus around demos and bringing in specialists to speak to you all directly about how you can be doing creative and innovative things inside of Teams. So these are just some of the features that we'll be looking at today. But first thing I wanted to do was show you all our Teams feature guide. Our wonderful colleague, Stacy Mildenberger, created this. So Stacy, if you're on, woohoo, if you are one of Stacy's customers, she's the best. And this is really her baby right here. So this document was specifically created for GCC customers. I have an example of one of the new features pulled up on the screen right here. It's our new PowerPoint Live Standout mode in Teams. And what is really awesome about this document, as you can see here, is one of 2 things. It's it's specifically a quick start guide for users. So you can use these images that you see here and send it out to users and say, hey, by the way, this new feature was released. Here's how you use it. Great for sending out communications and really helping you not have to reinvent the wheel. The other thing that is amazing about this document is that it is cross-checked between the Message Center posts and our public roadmap. We got a lot of feedback that it was just really hard to follow these 2 things at the same time. So Stacy and the team that works on this, they make sure to always test in GCC that it is confirmed that the feature has been released. And then they'll list the Message Center post and the roadmap ID on here as well. So you can check both of those in both places. Oops, don't want to let it time out there. So again, this is just one example of one of the features that was released this summer. PowerPoint Live Standout mode in Teams. We call it the weather person mode sometimes. As you can see, someone is actually being projected to the front of this screen so that your presentation is directly behind you. I'll briefly just scroll up to the top of this document. We're going to demo some of the features in here. So really just wanted to show you this document, what it's all about, so you can feel free to look through it. But we're going to pull our GCC demo tenant open and show you some of these. Last thing I will mention as I scroll up to the top here, our team has created a wonderful repository of the resources. So if you missed this from Q2, you can go back and see what was released. But everything that has been shipped is in the ship section. And then at the bottom of the document, there's a place to view what is actually upcoming for this year. So with that, Darby, I will stop sharing my screen. Do you want to go ahead and share out the demo tenant and we can start walking through some of the new features?
Sure, let's jump in. Let me switch my screen here. All right, let me know when you can see my screen. All right, Bridget.
Yep, I'm sending it live. So you are good.
Awesome. So we're just going to walk through some of those features that were on that slide, some of the new things that landed this summer that you may have missed. A few of them are within a Teams meeting, a few of them are out of a Teams meeting. So we're just kind of going to jump around and show you how to find those features. Typically for these calls in the future, we'll focus on one feature and how to really build it out or how to really make it work for you. But for the sake of this call, since we kind of had to split it to introducing the newness to the series as well as some features, we're just going to show you where they live so you can go check them out. So the first one we can start with are in your pre-meeting settings. So if you remember in the past, to access your meeting options, all you need to do is double click into a meeting that you are the organizer of. And at the very top of the screen, you will see the choice to select your meeting options. You can also find this in the join link down here. So if you are someone that prefers to schedule and adjust your meetings in Outlook, you can find it all the same. So I will go ahead and launch this. Your meeting options are an opportunity to adjust the settings on a per meeting basis, and they do keep adding some great features in here. So I would check it out every now and then just to see what's been added in. So the one we wanted to talk about today was the auto record. So you can now set your meetings to record automatically. So that way, as soon as you join the call, they begin to record and you capture every ounce of detail. If you are someone that commonly forgets to hit the record button, I know that that's something that happens to me. So it's great for that if you are setting up a big call and you just want to make sure, it's going to be recorded. You don't want to have to worry about it. A couple other new ones in here are your ability to allow a mic and camera for your attendees. Those are relatively new and they really come into play once you designate presenters. Once you have designated who can present in your call, then everyone else in the call is automatically an attendee. And then you can control their mic and camera settings before the meeting. And of course, you can access these during the meeting. So that's where I really think these two come into play, especially if you're trying to lead a bit more of a controlled meeting. You can turn off their mic and camera abilities and then turn them on when it's relevant for Q&A or wherever it may be. So wanted to call those two out as well. We'll go ahead and save our settings here.
And Darby too, I think it's kind of a great call out with the new meeting options that have been released, is that it's now a lot easier to use just normal team meetings for, let's say, an all hands or something where you are really using a broadcast for the first part of a meeting, but then you do want to open it up later on to some Q&A. So there's more meeting controls in Teams meetings now to let you expand that platform really into those larger meetings as well. And maybe that's something we can cover in one of our other series too.
That's a great point. A lot more control now. We'll hop back into Teams here. The other thing that I want to show you before we hop into a meeting is that you all have access to Whiteboard now, which is very exciting. I know that it was well awaited in the government space. So let me just show you where you can find that. Again, I'm going to just click into a meeting here that's already been created. And at the very top of my screen, I have a Whiteboard tab option. You can also access this within the meeting, of course, and collaborate with your teammates on the whiteboard, but you can also build out the whiteboard before you even get on the call. So I really love this feature. I know a lot of us have been waiting for it, so it's definitely worth playing around with and checking it out for your project planning calls. So they added some great features here. you essentially have endless whiteboard, right? So you can zoom out and keep going. You can download and export these whiteboards. And then you, of course, have your pins here and your highlighter eraser. We have got sticky notes. Really all the bells and whistles that you could need in a whiteboard. We have got them here now. So definitely worth playing around with. Just wanted to show you where that lives and how you can access it. And again, you can do this within the meeting as well. With that, let's go ahead and hop into a meeting and check out some of the features that landed inside of a meeting. So I'm just joining my meeting here. Let's take a look. I don't have access to a microphone or camera today due to the way I'm accessing this demo tenant, but generally you should see access to those.
Great, thanks, Darby. So we're now going to cover a few of the new features that come with inside of a meeting. First off, I want to highlight transcription. So this one was released in the past few weeks. We're really excited about this one. This one has also been long awaited. So as Darby navigates here, you can see it is at the bottom of the screen under Start Recording. It is grayed out for us right now just because we don't have a microphone in our virtual machine here, but this is something that does need to be enabled at the tenant level. So if you want to enable transcription in your environment, that's something that we would, partner with the IT team to ask to turn that on. This is totally a feature that it's completely up to the IT team to make the decision on if this is something you want to enable. We understand that the use cases for every customer are different. So from within the transcription, when that is started, it does start a live transcript. Similar to the recording, after a meeting is completed, that transcript will post inside of the meeting. So you can go back into the meeting details section and see that transcript after a meeting. This is a great use case for those that maybe aren't able to attend a meeting, and instead of watching the video recording, they quickly just want to skim the notes. There's really endless use cases for transcription. And again, this might be one that we want to cover in some sort of meeting focused part of this series later on in the year. Next thing I'd love to show is lock meeting. So as Darby goes into our presenter view over here, participants view, we do have a new feature called lock meeting. So you can see right here, the little lock that we see. This actually allows you to close the meeting off so that no one else can join after a certain point of time. If you do lock this meeting, even those that do have the Teams meeting link will not be able to get in. This is really a use case maybe for training or some sort of course where people can't be coming late. If you're doing an all hands and maybe you don't want people joining late, you can lock the meeting. That was one that was highly requested as well. Last thing I'll mention, and not necessarily a feature here inside of the meeting, but this summer it has officially been changed that all meeting recordings are now saved in OneDrive or SharePoint. So after a recording is completed, you'll still see that pop up in the chat that says recording is ready, but that location is different. It's saved in OneDrive. If it's an organizer that's creating a meeting from their personal calendar right here, and it's saved in SharePoint if it's a channel meeting. So as you see Darby navigating on the screen to OneDrive, there is a folder called recordings.
This folder here is going to be auto-created when you record a meeting. So if you don't see this yet, it may just be because you have not been the person that hit record on a meeting. As soon as you do that, OneDrive is going to create this folder for you and store those recordings. And again, like Bridget said, they're always going to go to that OneDrive unless you created a channel meeting, then they're going to go to that Teams SharePoint site. That is the only reason they would go there.
Awesome. So we'll kind of switch gears now. There have been a few first-party apps that have been released to government too. The three that we're going to highlight today are Approvals, Praise, and Forms. So we know Forms is one that people have had familiarity with for a while, but it was recently released to be added as a tab inside of Teams and also be used for polling. Let's go ahead and start off with approvals though, Darby.
Awesome. All right, so we do have a new app inside of Teams. This is available for government tenants. We have pinned it to the left-hand rail, but let me show you where to find it if you don't see it there. So I just unpinned it here. In this ellipses under the file section, you should see an app called Approvals. If you don't see it, try giving it a search and it should show up for you. And when we click on that, it will launch the app for us. So Approvals, by nature, out of the box, what you're seeing right now is a pretty simple format. It's a pretty simple tool, but it integrates really well with our other tools. So you can make this more complex and you can make this solve business problems or work for you. So at the bare bones of the tool is sending and receiving approval requests. So let me show you what it looks like. At the top here, I have two tab options. I have a received and a sent. So I can see anything coming in for my approval, and then I can see anything I have sent out for approval. So to create a new approval request, I'm just going to head to this new approval request button here, and I will just fill out my details. In this case, maybe I'm asking the owner of a team to please add someone else to our team. We need to collaborate with them. We could add multiple approvers here and either require a response from all of them or just the first person that sees it. And then we could add some extra details. Right? Add any attachments or design custom responses if we'd like. Then I just send that approval out. Then that approval will show up in my sent section here. And then once it is received, it will show up here. I sent it to myself, so I see the request here. I even got a notification in my activity feed that someone has sent me a request. I can click into it and add comments, approve or reject that request. Pretty simple, right? Just sending it and approving it. Now, like I said earlier, this integrates beautifully with some of our other tools. It is definitely something we will cover on another month's topic about how to integrate approvals with your other Microsoft tools like Microsoft Teams and Power Automate. So that way you can create a process that is automated and then you can approve or reject from there and have it do other things for you. So bare bones, it's a pretty simple tool, but it can really be built up. And then just to show you here what that looks like in our activity feed, you will get Teams notifications. So I got a request that someone had sent me an approval. And then because I sent it to myself, I also see the final status that it was approved. So we can go ahead and add Johanna to the team or do whatever we requested. Anything to add there, Bridget?
I don't have anything to add. Only other thing I would say is we are considering this as being one of our topics for our next series too. So if you're interested in learning more how this can be expanded on, definitely join us next month or sometime later this year because we are planning to cover this.
Yep, this is a really powerful tool. All right, the other one that you should see access to now is praise. This is very fresh in GCC and it can be customized for your organization, but out of the box, you should see something very similar to what I'm about to show you. Here is an example of a praise that has been sent. This is truly just rewarding your colleagues or your teammates with a little nugget of, thankfulness or whatever you are trying to reward or praise them on. So where you're going to find this app is anywhere you can type a new message in Teams. Again, we're in chat right now, but we could do this in Teams. You're going to see this little badge icon. And this is where you can send someone a praise. Again, you can customize these badges. from an IT perspective. So if there are certain awards or certain prizes or stickers that you already use within your organization, I mean, go ahead and customize them here. It will make so much more sense and it will be more applicable. But we could come here and give a praise. We can get a quick preview and then send it. This is a great way to recognize your teammates for the hard work that they do, especially within a team, giving them recognition for a project or the leadership that they had or the steps that they took. It's just a nice way to send that out and let your colleagues know how appreciative you are.
I think this is also so important as hybrid work continues to increase as well. It's really hard to give praise remotely, and oftentimes, we're just going about our day and it's not something that we think to stop and do when we're not seeing that person face to face. So we've been talking about this a lot in hybrid work approaches, is just adding something as simple as praise into that plan to kind of increase that back into our day-to-day work as well.
Great point.
Before we go to forms, Darby, there are a lot of questions in our chat here. I am trying to get through all of them, but I think it's a great reminder to come and join our office hours next month. We do always take note of the Q&A, and that's really the reason we wanted to do the office hours, so that we could answer a lot of these questions directly. So we will take note of these, we'll provide responses, but if you want more clarification, definitely join our office hours.
Awesome. All right, we have got about 5 minutes left here. So the last feature that we wanted to show you that is new in Teams for Government is the Microsoft Forms integration. And there are some sneaky ways that you can add forms into Teams. So we want to show you the more obvious ways as well as those well-hidden ways to add forms into your Teams. So the most obvious way to add forms into Teams is to add it as a tab in a channel. So I've got a few examples open here. But let me show you. Right now, we are just in a team here, the Department of Health team in the general channel. And at the very top, we can add a tab. And we now can select Microsoft Forms. If you remember in the past, this integration wasn't there. The best workaround was through the website tab, but now you can directly add your forms here as a connector. Just to give you a preview, you have a couple options here. You can either create a form from scratch with your teammates. You can all collaborate on it together, come up with the questions together, track the responses together. This is one of my favorite ways to do it because it gives you the full forms experience. Your other option is to add an existing form or quiz that you may have. So by selecting this, it's going to give you a look into all the forms you have created and ask you which one you'd like to add into this team. And then your final choice is, are you adding that form to collect responses, or are you adding that form to show results? A very common example of this is, maybe I created a form to deliver after a training that I had. I already created it, so I'm going to choose this add an existing form. And I'm going to send it to those that attended my training. So I want to collect their feedback. Then I might add it in a separate team with my trainers, and I'll select this show results so we could see the feedback coming in real time. So those are just two examples of why you may select one or the other. Pretty explicit. And let me just quickly show you what they look like. I have already added them here. You'll also notice you've got naming conventions with these, which is really nice. So when you add a form in from scratch to create with your teammates, you get this edit naming convention, meaning this form has been added to edit. So we get all of our options here. We could change these questions. We can all come in here and collaborate on this. Then again, with the naming conventions, when the survey has been added for you to take, it has a fill naming convention, meaning this survey has been added to this team for me to fill out. You can come in and add your feedback. And even if you update this on the form site, it will update here. Oops, okay. Once you have done that, you can submit your survey right here through Teams. The third option there is the results. Again, with the naming convention, that survey has been added to show you the results. So you can come in here and see who has answered your form, only me, and what their emails, what their answers were, get some helpful data here, and you can download this. So those are your three options. Either add a form to collaborate with your colleagues, add a form to collect data, or add a form to review data. Anything you want to add there, Bridget?
I think you covered. I'm just trying to answer all the questions in the chat that we have here.
Just as a quick call out, Bridget and I go through these questions after our call's over, and we add it as an FAQ slide to our slide deck, which we share with all of you, so we will do that. The other way that you can add Microsoft Forms in Teams that is a little bit more hidden is inline polling. So I love this feature. I think it's excellent for engagement, especially during meetings. Where you're going to find this is anywhere that you can type a new message. So this could be in chat, this could be in Teams, this could be in meeting chat. We're going to hover all the way over to this ellipses here where your messaging extensions live. And you should see a forms option. When I select that, I can create a poll for my colleagues. So go ahead and give it a question. Right, add your options. Decide if you want to allow multiple answers or not. And you can decide to keep the responses anonymous if you would like. You'll get a quick preview here to see what it's going to look like. And we can send it live. Just like that, you can send a poll in one-on-one chat messages, group chat messages, your Teams channels, and in meetings. This is super helpful if you're someone that delivers Teams, or if you're someone that delivers trainings over Teams calls and you're always wondering how the engagement is, who's paying attention to your meeting. Send some polls, ask questions, ask for engagement, and you'll be surprised to see, how many people like to answer the polls and kind of tune back into the meeting. Anything to add there, Bridget?
I don't have anything to add there. I think you captured this all wonderfully. I know we're over time. We can keep going. If you need to drop, no worries. This recording will be available. We have a few more things to cover, and I'll also address some of the questions in the chat as well before we end our session here.
Awesome. I went ahead and stopped sharing for you.
Perfect. I will share mine again. So just as a reminder, some things to look out for. We will be sending the invite for the office hours shortly after this call. We already have that ready to go, so we just need to add the email addresses out to that and send it to you all. I did have a question in the chat and I published it as well so everyone can see it. The link that you use to join this session will be the same link that you use to join that session. We want to keep it as easy as possible. When this session is not live, we actually will route the same link to our landing page. So after this call, you should be able to see that link take you also to our landing page where we have our previously recorded videos and all of our content. So if you really like this series and want to see some of the other sessions that we've done, I urge you to check out our YouTube and also the past recordings. We've done a lot of demos over the past 2 years. Lastly, we will also include a survey in that email. We love feedback, so if there is a process that you are looking to do, please do let us know. If we aren't able to cover it in our series, we can absolutely connect you to your CSM and your account team. So please feel free to add any feedback that you have there. I did publish a lot of the popular questions that we have coming in For those that we didn't get to, first of all, I think we'll add someone else on our team here to answer questions because you all have a lot of great ones. So I want to make sure that we get to all of them. As Darby mentioned, we do go back and look at all of these questions. When we post our slide deck, we also post an FAQ guide with all of the questions asked and the answers. Some other ones that I'm seeing is questions on transcription and how accurate is the transcription. We will try and pull some official documentation for you all around our transcription and our captions as well, because there seems to be a lot of questions around that. So we'll be sure to point you in the right direction. And then lastly, there was also a lot of great questions around flows and how they work, if it's possible to tie those into approvals. So I think next time we'll definitely cover the approvals workflow and just showing how Flow can play into some of the other apps that we have in Teams. Anything else to add, Darby?
I don't think so. I think you covered it all. I really appreciate you all joining today. I hope this was helpful. I know that we had to go a little fast through some of the features, but if you do have questions about how they work, please join our office hours in 2 weeks. And otherwise, we really hope to see you next month to start really diving into some of these tools and how you can make them work for you.
Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great weekend.